فبلغ رسالة ربه وأدى أمانته ونصح لأمته وجاهد في سبيله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين فصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على منوالهم واقتفى بأثرهم ودعا بدعوتهم وجاهد بجهادهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وصحبه وسلم، وكل بدعة ضلالة. Certainly all praises are for Allah. We mention Allah's beautiful names and perfect attributes. We praise Him in the day, the afternoon, and the evening, in all times and all situations. And praising Allah is not the same as thanking Allah. Thanking Allah and praising Allah are two different acts, two different statements, two different mindsets, and two different situations. And many Muslims, they confuse the two. And they think that alhamd and shukr are the same thing. And they think that they are must, mutalaziman. But that's not the case. And that is because we say alhamdulillah and alhamdulillah throughout all situations, all times, all places, no matter what has happened or is going to happen or is happening, we say alhamdulillah. And as far as thanking Allah, Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatika, the prophetic supplication that he told his companions to say in their prayers, then you thank Allah for a blessing. You thank Allah for when something comes to you, something is given to you, something is handed to you. Allah endows you with something and you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the other misconceptions of the shukr is that shukr is not just with the tongue. You just don't say alhamdulillah wa shukr and that's it. And you think that you've done your job as a servant and a slave. Rather, thanking Allah is physical. You thank Allah physically. And you also thank Allah mentally. You thank Him spiritually, emotionally. It is a mindset, how you feel that you're grateful and you're content with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're happy, you're pleased. And it's not just saying it with the tongue, as many people say, I'm grateful to Allah. But only Allah knows what's in your hearts of greed and lack of pleasure with Allah. They're not pleased with Allah, they want more. So you thank Allah with your deeds, your physical actions. إِعْمَلُوا آلَ دَاوُودَ شُكْرًا. You do deeds, and you thank Allah with your heart as well. When you go to sleep at night, you wake up in the morning, you say alhamdulillah, shukrulillah. You thank Allah, you praise Allah. You're pleased and you're grateful. And of course you profess it with your tongue. But thanking Allah and praising Allah are two different things. We praise Allah all of the time. And we thank Allah when He blesses us, even though blessings can come in disguise. A misfortune could actually be a blessing. Something being taken away from you, or prevented from you, or you prevented from that thing, could actually be a blessing. But that's something that we always don't necessarily know. So, if you got the news that your mother died, your father passed away, you lost one of your children, a great tragedy, a great catastrophe, you would say, Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. It hurts, it's painful, I'm a human being, but Alhamdulillah. And that's not the same as you getting a call or a text message or an email saying that your son was born in the hospital. You have a daughter, a healthy baby girl in the hospital. Say, Ashukru-lillah. I thank you, Allah, for blessing me with this thing. Blessing me with this daughter, or whatever Allah's blessing may be. So we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all of the time. Alhamdulillah. No matter what. You're my friend, you're not my friend. Alhamdulillah. We're together, we're married, not divorced. Alhamdulillah. I'm still your teacher, you're still my student or not. Alhamdulillah. At the end of the day, that's because Allah is bigger and greater than each and every one of us. And we thank Him and show Him gratitude when He blesses us with something, when He endows us with a gift. We thank Allah, but we just don't thank with our tongues. We thank Him with our limbs, our physical actions as well. And we also thank Allah with our mindsets, how you feel as a servant, how you go to sleep at night and how you wake up in the morning. Are you pleased with Allah? Are you happy? Are you thankful? Or other than that, and another very important component of thanking Allah is to thank the middleman, quote unquote. It's to thank the medium. It's to thank the in-between. The one who brings you something, you thank them as well. And you don't say, well, Allah is the one who gave me the wealth, even though it came from your hands. And in actuality, that's a true statement. Allah did give the wealth. And the person who gave you the money is nothing more than a poor servant like you are a poor servant. In actuality, He controls nothing. Death, life, benefit, harm. However, Allah chose to bring the good via that person's hand. لا يشكر الله من لا يشكر الناس. وفي ضبط آخر لهذا الحديث لا يشكر الله لمن لا يشكر الناس. The Prophet ﷺ, he tells us you cannot thank Allah if you don't thank the people. And another version of this hadith with a fatha or with a dhamma instead of a kasra, Allah does not thank the servant who doesn't thank his servants. And we all know from Allah's names is Ash-Shakir, Ash-Shakur, Shakirun. Allah is thankful, He's grateful, and He appreciates the service of His servants. So we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all of the time. And we thank Him for His blessings. We ask Him for help. We ask Him for assistance. We ask Him to pardon our shortcomings and our transgressions. When we natajawaz al-had, we transgress the boundary. وَنُسْرِفْ عَلَى أَنفُسِنَا, and we go beyond the limits against our own selves. We ask Allah to protect us from our evil, natural feelings, thoughts, and emotions. And we also ask Allah to protect us from the evil thoughts, feelings, and emotions that have been acquired, that aren't natural. You learned that. You saw that. You watched that. You were raised like that. You were fed You were taught and trained to be greedy, or to be promiscuous, or to be cowardly. It's not natural. And we also ask Allah to protect us from the natural bad things within our nufus. There's two different types now. There are things that may be in you by nature, and there are things which are learnt and acquired. You had to learn this bad act. You had to see it. You were exposed to it. You were brought up around it, and it's unfortunately has become a natural thing in your nafs. You can't shake it. My whole life I've been doing it. My whole life I've been around it. My whole life I've seen people abuse people and run over people and backbite people and slander people. My whole life I was around alcohol and alcoholism. My father was a drunk. Grandfather was a drunk. Uncle was a drunk. Brother was a drunk. Everyone, my whole village, my whole household, my whole city. They drink, they drink, they drink. That's all I know is drinking. You have to learn to protect you from that. To keep you safe from that. And you must put forth the necessary effort to go against the bad asl. The bad asl, the bad default. You have to put in the extra effort. And if you don't put in the extra effort and go against the grain, you're going to go with the grain, with the current. And the current is going to drag you forward. The water doesn't go the opposite way. The current goes one way. And the swimmer is the one who puts forth the necessary muscle, the necessary breath control, the necessary strokes to go against the current, to go against the tide. The boat is powered, however or whatever powers the boat, and it goes in the other direction of the tide and the current. And if that's not the case, the boat will be what? It will be pulled along. So that is the concept of the nafs. If you don't put forth the necessary effort, if you don't fight yourself, if you don't work harder, then you'll go with the natural, normal way. Whatever that thing may be, and we ask Allah to protect us therefrom. To proceed. قال الإمام البخاري رحمه الله تعالى في جامعه الصحيح حدثنا عمرو بن خالد قال حدثنا الليث عن يزيد عن أبي الخير عن عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص رضي الله تعالى عنهما أن رجلا سأل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أي الإسلام خير قال تطعم طعاما وتقرأ السلام على من عرفت ومن لم تعرف أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام والحديث أخرجه الإمام مسلم. From the greatest manifestations of Islam, brothers and sisters, is good character, good behavior, how you conduct yourself, how you carry yourself, how you behave. And this is something that Allah Azza wa Jalla declared that the Prophet ﷺ was blessed with. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. He says, you Muhammad, you're not crazy. You're not mad, even though they say that you are. You're not searching for wealth and for power and authority. You're not searching to be the chief or the chieftain. You're not a man obsessed with poetry. You're not a man who's disrespectful to his ancestors and forefathers. Rather, better, instead, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Your character isn't good. Your character isn't okay. Your character isn't fair. خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. He says your character is stellar. The best of the best is what I've blessed you with. I have made and chosen you to have the best good character, the best behavior. And those who believe in the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and claim to follow his path, it is their obligation to mimic and copy him in that. To try to have good character, to try to have good behavior. This is the obligation of every single Muslim. فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ وَمَنْ تَابَ مَعَكَ وَلَا تَطْغَوْا. Allah says, oh Muhammad, be straight, be upright, be steadfast. فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ, like you've been commanded. وَمَنْ تَابَ مَعَكَ. Those believers who make repentance along with you. The people who follow you, who believe in you, they have the same obligation. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا فَحَسْبُ أَنَا فَقَطْ وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي مِنْ أَصْحَابِي وَمِنْ أَتْبَاعِي. Allah says, say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is my path, my religion, my way. I call to Allah with knowledge, not with ignorance, not with emotion, not with laughing and joking and telling stories. But a real caller to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not LOL. A real caller to Allah, not a storyteller, not someone who tells his story how I became a Muslim and travels from country to country, but a da'i ila Allah, ala basir who has ilm fiqh. And it's my duty, it's my responsibility. وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. Allah says, and whoever follows me. Whoever follows me has the same duty and the same responsibility. So we can't say that we're Muslims and have the same nasty, foul character, the bad behavior. We can't claim to love the Prophet ﷺ, but our actions do not show it. It doesn't manifest. And we all know the virtues of good character. We all know the excellent merit of having good behavior. And I'm not talking about a scholar or a student of knowledge. We're talking about a 9 to 5 Muslim. On the train, on the bus, driving the bus, in the fruit market, in a store. An average, no name, nothing special Muslim is supposed to represent and manifest the teachings of Islam through their character and through their behavior. And we all know the obligation and the virtue and the excellence of doing so. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إيش؟ حقا لهم درجات عند ربهم ومغفرة ورزق كريم. Allah says the believers are no one other than those. They're those. When Allah is mentioned, their hearts are fearful. Their hearts, they are tender. Their hearts tremble. They're scared. They cry. When Allah's ayat are recited to them, they feel softness. When Allah's name is mentioned, they spend. They establish prayer. They put their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is their reward? Allah says, first and foremost, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ حَقًّا. They are the true believers. So if you don't have no fear when Allah's name is mentioned, you have no good character, no good behavior, your character is foul and nasty and dirty and low and base, then you are not a true believer. As it states in a hadith, كما ورد في حديث ولا أقول أنه حديث صحيح لكنه قد ورد خصلتان لا تجتمعان في منافق حسن سمت ولا فقه في دين أو في الدين. As it states in a hadith, two things you'll never find in a munafiq. Ever. No matter what color the munafiq is, his language, his country, his dress code, you'll never find these two things in a munafiq. What are those two things? حسن سمت, good conduct, good behavior. ولا فقه في الدين. No way you ever find a munafiq who understands the religion, true understanding of the deen. Stop and think about this now. When's the last time you've seen a munafiq, someone that's trying to destroy Islam, that had good character? He fronts, he fakes. They act like they love Islam, but his bad character must be revealed. As the Messenger of Allah tells us in an authentic hadith, the signs of the munafiq. One hadith says, Ayatul munafiqi thalath, 3 signs of a hypocrite. And another hadith says, أربع خصال من كانت فيه خصلة منهن كانت فيه خصلة من النفاق حتى يدعها. One hadith says the signs of the hypocrites are 3. And another hadith says 4 things. If you have a characteristic of hypocrisy. From those 4 things, the Prophet ﷺ says, وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرَ. And when he argues and debates and disagrees, he becomes nasty. Fajr. He curses, he slanders, he insults, he calls a name. You're this and you're that. You're this and you're that. We have a disagreement over money. Husband and wife, father and son, teacher and student, owner, leaser, buyer, renter, etc. Think about this now. When's the last time you've seen a true Muslim behave in a nasty manner when they have a disagreement? Listen, we don't agree. Okay? We don't see eye to eye on this issue. You owe me this money. I don't owe you that money. This is the proof, this is the evidence. You want to go to court, we'll go to court. You want to handle it in a masjid, on the carpet, we'll go and we'll sit there and we'll talk. You want to handle it in another way, we can do that. But I'm not going to slander you. I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to talk about your mother and what you look like and your skin complexion and I never liked you and your people are all like this. All people are all like that. All people from this country are all this. That's the sign of the munafiq. So munafiq, no matter how hard he tries to hide his kufr, the nasty character will show and reveal that he doesn't love Allah and His Messenger in his heart. And the tongue is nothing more than the messenger of the heart. That's it. That's all it is. The tongue is it brings a signal from the heart. So the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us to have good character. He informs us the virtue of good character. And there's some narrations that tell us from the signs of a munafiq, a fake Muslim, is that he doesn't behave properly. But what is meant by good character, brothers and sisters? What's meant by good character? And what's meant by bad character? What's meant by way the khasam al-fajr? What's meant by that? What's meant by the Prophet ﷺ's hadith, إِنَّ أَكْمَلَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِيمَانًا أَحَسِنُهُمْ أَخْلَاقًا أَوْ كَمَا قَالَ صلى الله عليه وسلم. The believers most complete in faith are the believers most complete in good character. What's meant by this? What is good character? Is good character a specific dress code, a specific language, a specific cultural norm? Is bad character a cultural taboo? What's meant by this? And how do you protect you and yourself, your family, from having bad character? And what is the dua that you make when you want good character? And you want Allah to increase your behavior because you know that it's lacking and you know that it is flawed. As one of the companions said, such as Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala anhu, لا يفقه الرجل كل الفقه حتى يمقت الناس في ذات الله ثم يرجع إلى نفسه فيكون أشد مقتا لها. أو كما قال رضي الله عنه, he says a man cannot be a great scholar in Islam. You can't understand the deen. You can't have thorough comprehension of Islam until you hate people for the sake of Allah. If it wasn't for Islam, we would be friends. If it wasn't for this hadith, I would go over your house. I would sit with you, we would talk, we would eat, we would be buddies. But because of this narration, I can't be your friend. Because you make this sin, because you've chosen a different lifestyle other than Islam, we are not friends. And then that person must hate himself. He must criticize himself. He must look in the mirror and look at the state of ugliness of himself and hate himself even more. Stop and think about that. Do you hate yourself more than you hate people? Or is it the opposite? You love yourself so much and you don't see your flaws, you don't see your errors, you don't see your mistakes, but everyone else is criticized and attacked. You have a problem with your character. You have an anger problem. You have pride. You're racist. You're prejudiced. You're this. You're that. But when do I look in the mirror and say, what am I? What bad akhlaq do I have? And what is the solution? الحمد لله غافل الذنب وقابل التوب شديد العقاب ذي الطول لا إله إلا هو إليه المصير وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بهديه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim, they have collected the narration of Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, rather than the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, that one day a man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, Ayyul Islam khair. He said, oh Messenger of Allah, what's the best Islam? What is the best understanding of Islam? The best practice of Islam? The best manifestation of Islam? How do I become the best Muslim? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, in such a short, concise, yet utterly beautiful sentence, تطعم الطعام وتقرأ السلام على من عرفت ومن لم تعرف. 3 points. Number 1, تطعم الطعام is to feed, give food, offer food. Number 2, وتقرأ السلام, spread the salutations. Say assalamu alaikum. Say assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. على من عرفت ومن لم تعرف, upon those whom you know and those whom you know not. The Prophet ﷺ was asked, أي الإسلام خير, يعني أي خصال الإسلام خير, أي أمور الإسلام أفضل وأعلى وأزكى. What is the highest, what's the peak of Islam, the best thing to do as a Muslim? I'm not a scholar, I don't know Arabic, I've not memorized the Holy Quran, I've not studied overseas. I'm a 9-to-5 Muslim, an average Muslim. But how do I strive for excellence? The Prophet ﷺ, he said to feed. First and foremost is your wife and your children. The Prophet ﷺ says, Ibda or wabda biman ta'ud. Many brothers, they're the most generous in the masjid. You take a road trip with them, they'll buy your food, they'll pay for this, they'll pay for the gas and the tolls. But their wives and their children are hungry. They don't feed them. And they think that it's sunnah. Or they think that it's zuhd, or they think it's following the pious predecessors to have your family starving, but to be generous to a visiting scholar in your mosque, or a student of knowledge that comes from out of town, or some brother that you come across, you give him money, you give him food, but your wife and your children, they're hungry. And the same applies to sisters as well. تُطْعِمُ الطَّعَامَ, feed your husband. And we all know we say in our culture, the closest way to a man's heart is his what? It's his stomach. And that's a true statement. That's a true statement. And that's because food is much more than food. Food is much more than just food. Food is a means of welcoming. It's a means of warmth. And most importantly, it's a means of trust and safety. Trust and safety. The President of the United States, the ambassador of this country, the Prime Minister of this country, who prepares this person's meals? Any person from the cabinet, any general, any person from the state. The most trusted from the trusted are those who prepare the meals for the leader. And that's because of poison. And one of the easiest ways to kill someone is to poison them. So the one who gives you food, you eat that food, it's much more than a morsel or a piece of bread or a piece of land. But it means I trust you, you trust me. I respect you, you respect me. I want to make you feel good. I want you to be nourished. I want you to have pleasure in this delicious food. And most importantly, know for sure, I would never give you no food unless it's the food that I would eat myself. I eat this food myself. So food is much more than food. So a husband is to feed his wife, and a wife is to feed her husband, your neighbor, anyone that you come across with, even animals, pets, whatever animal that you come across, you feed them. And that's a manifestation of al-Iman. As Allah says about the believers, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ. They give food even though they love it themselves. Who doesn't love food? Who doesn't have bills? Who doesn't have expenses? Who doesn't have debts? Who isn't stressed when it comes to work in the dunya? Yet still, tafaddal, take my food. You're hungry, come in. Whatever you want to eat, it's yours. Even though they love it. And they give it to poor people, they give it to orphans, whoever they come across, they feed. And we only feed you seeking the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the only reason why we give you food. The Prophet ﷺ says, here is the critical point. Here's the catalyst point. And that is when I come into the masjid, you say, Assalamu alaikum, and I smile. Or I shake my head. Or I say, yes, brother. But I see my friend, my man, hey, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's going on, Akhi? I immediately give him salams. On a bus, on a train, in the market, in the hospital. You see the brother's name tag is Abdul, or Muhammad, or Abdullah, whatever his name is. You clearly see the country that he's from. Clearly he's a Muslim. You say, Assalamu alaikum, and he looks the other way. Or you're out somewhere, and you see a sister covered up, and she's staring at you, staring at your children, looking at you from top to bottom. You look back, say Assalamu alaikum, and they look the other way. وَتَقْرُؤُ السَّلَامَ عَلَى مَنْ عَرَفْتَ وَمَنْ لَمْ تَعْرِفْ. Those whom you know and those whom you know not. You're from Bangladesh? Wa alaikum assalam. You're from Southside Jamaica, Queens? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You come from Palestine? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. You come from this country? Your skin complexion, your height, your weight, you go to this masjid or that masjid. Wa alaikum assalam. Give salams to those whom you know and those whom you know not. Give greetings to those whom you like and those whom you do not like. Why is this? Why is this hadith so important? And why is it a manifestation of the best of Islam? The greatest of Islam and of good character. And that is because when you meet a Muslim and you say Assalamu alaikum or you say Wa alaikum assalam, you're declaring and you're telling that Muslim, don't ever worry about me harming you. Assalamu alaikum, I'm your brother. I don't know who you are. We don't agree on everything. We have different backgrounds, but if you need something, you can come here. If you want something, you can come here. And you can never ever fear or worry about me forsaking you, harming you, disrespecting you. If your wife passes me by, I would not lust on your wife. I would not look at her, but lower my gaze. And if I seen someone disrespecting your wife, I would take offense as if it was my own wife. If I see someone harming your property, it will be my property. Assalamu alaikum. And from Allah's names is As-salam. Is the one who is As-salim min al-naqsi wal-ayb. Al-musallim li'ibadihi min al-shururi wal-afat. Allah Azza wa Jalla is As-salam. He's free from defect and from harm. And He's the one who grants peace and safety. Yani Allah alayk bil-hifzi wal-auni wal-ri'ayah. May Allah be with you. May Allah protect you. May Allah keep you safe. And I am your brother. Don't worry. This one you have to worry about. This one you have to look over your back. You have to lock your door at night, but not near your Muslim brother. So when I don't give you the salams, not only am I disobeying the Prophet ﷺ, not only is it a manifestation of pride. I don't have to give you salams. Who are you? You're too young. You're a kid. I don't have to give you salams. You're this. You're from this background. You're from this nationality. You're beneath me. I don't give you salams. It's pride. It's arrogance. And also, it is hatred. How do you feel when your brother doesn't return your salams? Do you feel like you love him more? Do you feel closer to him? Do you really believe in the statement, there's no racism in Islam? When a brother looks at you and turns the other way, and another brother says the same thing, who's his skin complexion, he says, Alaykum assalam, kayf halakum, hayakum Allah. Do you really feel in your heart there's no racism in Islam? Do you really feel that? Do the non-Muslims believe in Islam being a true religion? They don't even speak to each other. They don't even speak to each other. And they want us to leave off our religion, the religion of our forefathers. You got to be joking. You got to be kidding. We're astray as Christians, and you're guided, and you don't even like each other. Because they go to another mosque. Because they have a different orientation. Because your thobe is navy blue, and yours is beige. You don't give each other salams. Give salams to those whom you know, and those who you don't know. Don't differentiate between gender, or age, or class, or this or that. That's the best Islam. So what I want everyone to do right now is to think about, when's the last time you didn't give your brother the salams? When's the last time? When's the last someone slighted you in a dentist's office and didn't give you the salams? If you're a professional, and you're a Muslim, and you come from the Middle East, or North Africa, or Malaysia, or any other part of the world in which they're Muslims, and if you're non-Muslim co-workers, or country, and that will endanger and threaten your job, you don't need to be working there. Period. There's no good for you to be an employee at that office. In which I'm a doctor. I'm trained. I'm a professional. I'm a good doctor. And there's no complaints about me being a doctor. But I can't let them know that I'm a Muslim. They can't know that my real name is Abdullah. Just call me Ab. Call me this and call me that. But they can't know my real true heritage and my religion. Why would they fire you just because of your religion? If your relationship is that fragile, you don't need to be a doctor at that office. You don't want to be a lawyer at that law firm. If they're going to fire you just by you saying, Alaykum salam. Oh, he's a terrorist. But he's been working here for 10 years. No bombs have been exploded in this office. No one has been harmed. No one has ever been bothered by this Muslim. He's the most kind person in the office. But the moment I say, well, Alaykum salam, they'll think and they'll fear that I'm a terrorist. You don't need to be working there. Because they don't respect you in your professionalism. So why hide your Islam? What is the reason why you won't give a Muslim the salams? You go into a restaurant and say, Assalamu alaikum, and they look at you funny. And they say, what's the matter? But they speak to a non-Muslim or their friends or their family members. And Allah knows I'm not talking about one race. I'm not talking about one madhab or one jama'ah. Everyone's guilty. They only speak to the people that they're cool with, that they're okay with, that they're friends with. And the shaitan tricks them and thinks that it is hating for the sake of Allah. So you boycott a Muslim for the sake of Allah. Let's say for argument's sake that you're sincere. But for argument's sake, this person's a fasiq, mu'linun fisqahu. This person's a mubtadi', yad'u ila bid'ah. For argument's sake. But you speak to the Jews, you speak to the Christians, and you speak to the Muslims who are 10 yards further from this Muslim that you're boycotting for the sake of Allah. Billahi alayk. Is that sincere, boycotting for the sake of Allah? Are you honest with yourself? Or have you fallen into the opposition of this hadith? وَتَقْرَأُ السَّلَامَ عَلَى مَنْ عَرَفْتَ وَمَنْ لَمْ تَعْرِفْ. So the scholars of Islam, they say this hadith means from the manifestations of Islamic brotherhood, from the manifestations of love, from the manifestations of humility, from the manifestations of unity, is to give your brother the greetings and the salutations. And from the manifestations of pride and arrogance and prejudice, from the manifestations of ta'ifiyya and ta'assub and unsuriyya and the madhabiyya and these things like this, is that you only choose and pick who you want to speak to. And you give salams when it's convenient for you. That's not the way of Islam, brothers and sisters. And know for sure if that's the best Islam, not feeding the people, not giving the salams, selecting and picking who you want to speak to, is from the lower ranks of our Islam. As the Prophet ﷺ tells us in many authentic ahadith, وَلَيْسَ وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ حَبَّةُ خَرْدَلٍ مِنْ إِيمَانٍ مَنْ رَأَى مِنْكُمْ مُنْكَرًا فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ بِيَدِهِ فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك إيش؟ أضعف الإيمان. The weakest state. So Iman has strong points and Iman has weak points. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, ما رأيت من ناقصات عقل ودين. He says, you people who are deficient in intellect, you don't think straight. You don't think correctly. Emotions dominate your ration and your rationale, your reason. And your deen is insufficient. It is deficient. And that's because a time comes when you do not pray. A time comes in which you cannot make hajj or certain acts of hajj. You cannot be an imam. And the list goes on of things that you're prevented from, that a man is not prevented from. Ash-shahid min hadha al-kalam kullihi. What's meant by this is that a man fluctuates. A man goes high and it plummets low. From the things which will allow your iman to flourish is as-salam, giving food. And from the things which will cause your iman to suffer is to be cheap and stingy. And that's because generosity is the slogan of the believer. Generosity is the slogan of the mu'min. And stinginess is the slogan of the munafiq. وَيَقْبِضُونَ أَيْدِيَهُمْ. Allah says, and they clench their fists. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make our fists open for His sake when it comes to spending and giving. And when it's necessary to clench our fists, we clench our fists. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us those who are generous and kind. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to allow us to be free from these ills and these negativities which prevent us from speaking to our brothers and sisters for the sake of Allah. وَسُبْحَانَ رَبِّكَ رَبِّ الْعِزَّةِ عَمَّا يَصِفُونَ وَسَلَامٌ عَلَى الْمُرْسَلِينَ وَالْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ.